everybody. There is no place in the world I would rather be right now than here with you. Watching the 1976 Olympics, I was 12 years old, and I was inspired by a young gymnast from Romania. She was poised, she was strong, she was perfect. She scored the first perfect 10 in the history of the sport. Her name was Nadia Comaneci. And from the moment I watched Nadia Comaneci, I dreamed that I would be the next Nadia Comaneci. Jumping and balancing on the balance beam, 5'11", 165 pounds, not very graceful. So I was not going to be an Olympic gymnast, but I found the sport of rowing. And that first summer rowing, I set a goal. I wanted to make the national team that year. I wasn't cocky, I wasn't overconfident, I was just totally naive. I didn't know the amount of training you had to do to make the national team. I didn't know what it took, but 2 years after picking up an oar, I won an Olympic bronze medal. Thank you. It then took 7 years of training and a lot of disappointment before I realized that ultimate dream. I became the world champion, the World Cup champion, the fastest single sculler in the world. So you can imagine, I was looking forward to the Olympic Games, and it seemed like everything was falling into place for those 1992 Olympic Games, and I was on track for winning an Olympic gold medal. But then, 10 weeks before the Olympics, while preparing for a World Cup race in Essen, Germany, I was hit by another boat. Their boat went into the side of my boat, and my boat shattered, driving 200 pieces of wood into my lower right leg, shredding the muscle, breaking the ankle, tearing the tendons. The doctor in the hospital in Germany told me that I would never row competitively again. I felt angry. I couldn't believe I'd had this accident 10 weeks before the Olympic Games. But I also thought, that doctor doesn't know me. He doesn't know what I've been through. He doesn't know what I've experienced. He doesn't know what I'm made of. I grew up in a house with a lot of love, but also a lot of volatility. My mom suffered from an undiagnosed mental illness, and I never knew what mom I was coming home to. Was I going to come home to that mom who was creative and singing and painting? Or was I going to come home to that mom who was sobbing, talking to herself, desperately unhappy? I didn't always feel safe. I know that some of you in this stadium today feel alone. I know that you feel scared or confused. I know that some of you feel ashamed. You ask yourself, am I lovable? You wonder if you're worth it. I am here today, I am standing on the stage today to tell you, you are worth it. I hope you have somebody in your life that tells you that you're worth it. But if you don't, I am here today to tell you that you are. In fact, you are perfect. Yes. In my life, I have found the first step in creating a happier future is to imagine it. When I was a kid, I used my imagination to move beyond the stress and the drama. I used my imagination to create the life I wanted inside my head. And lying in that hospital bed 10 weeks before the Olympic Games, I used my imagination to imagine myself strong and healthy again. I used my imagination to imagine that I could win an Olympic medal again. Thank you. I asked for a bungee cord, and I tied it to the end of my bed, and I started pulling on it. This wasn't Olympic training 10 weeks before the Olympic Games, but it was something that I could do. After 10 weeks of imagining and believing and doing everything physically possible to get better, I won an Olympic bronze medal. The struggles that I've been through in my life have made me the person I am today, and I like that person. I know that my purpose is to encourage and to inspire other people on their journey. And part of each one of our journeys is to learn to love ourselves. We're all going to go through times of darkness, but we can find our way through. And the first step is using our imagination to imagine a better life, a better community, a better world. Thank you.